What's up guys, this is Hepodix and welcome to my Orisa wrap-up video. Today I'll be talking about Orisa's abilities and specifics, then moving on to gameplay and strategies, and after that I'll be giving out my verdict and how she really fits to the roster. So without further ado, I hope you enjoyed the video. So let's move on to the abilities overview. We got the fusion driver first, which is Orisa's basically machine gun, the main weapon. So it runs down on 150 ammo with a 2.5 second reloading time. It deals 12 damage per bullet and the machine gun doesn't have fall off damage or range, which means that the bullets won't be falling after a set amount of distance, which is really cool. And the Gatling gun has semi-high bullet spread, which means that it's not very accurate when shooting far, but from the medium low distance it really works nicely. And you also got slower movement speed while shooting, which means that you can't really spam the gun all the time, and you have to think about it when to use it on different situations to come. So definitely not a spammable gun, but it has a lot of ammo, like the 150, so not bad either. So next we got Hold, which is basically a mini Zarya alt, and I gotta say it's kinda hilarious. So how it basically works is it's a two-part functioning ability. First you launch the projectile, it goes like a straight line, and then once you reactivate the ability, then it draws the enemies towards it, like who are connected to it with the 7.5 meter radius. So it's very nice, and you can also do nice tricks with it. You can just try to combo ultimates to it, although it's a lot shorter than Zarya's Graviton Surge. But what is really nice about this is that you can pull enemies off the map as well. Like, if there is an enemy hero next to a ledge, and if you shoot it from a nice angle, you can basically pull enemies off the map, so it can really work out nicely on certain situations as well. Next we got the Fortify, which is basically a self-buff sustaining tool. You can't give it to any of your allies, it's to yourself only. It gives 50% damage reduction, and you're also crowd control immune, which is really cool. And it lasts 4 seconds with a 10-second cooldown, and it's really useful in situations where you have to take the heat basically. And if there are some hard crowd control coming, like Reinhardt's ultimate or Roadhog's whole hog, you can just deny that for that 4-second duration. It's pretty useful if used correctly on situations to come. And it's easy to distinguish normal and fortified Orisa. The fortified Orisa has this goldish look, and the normal Orisa, well, it's a normal look, or the skin you've selected or the enemies have. So moving on to the last normal ability Orisa has, so we got the protective barrier next, which is basically an arc-shaped shield, and you can distinguish the shield shape from Reinhardt's shield and a Symmetra's shield. All of the three shields look a little bit different shapes, so you can distinguish which one is whose. And the shield has 900 HP, which is relatively okay because it runs on 8-second cooldown and lasts for 20 seconds. But the thing is, the catch is that you can't put multiple barriers at one time. You can only shield once at a certain spot. So that's a little letdown, but the duration and the cooldown will compensate the 900 health, in my opinion. So it's a nice balance here going on. So I think it's a really good mini Reinhardt shield, or at least how I feel about it. So last but not least, let's see what this robot Centaur has to offer for her ultimate. So we got Supercharger. It's basically a device that gives 50% damage boost to all allies within line of sight. And the beams, how it affects, they look like Mercy's damage amplifier beams. All those beams that get connected to each of individual allies, they really look like Mercy's right click that amplifies the damage. It has 1 second cast time before it activates, and it has 16-second duration, or if it gets destroyed. The Supercharger has 200 health, so it's destroyable. And the 16-second duration, I think it's a really long time, so it might be necessary to destroy it depending on the fight, how it will develop further. And it has 25 meter radius, so it's a really nice big radius. But you have to remember, if you go out of line of sight of the device, the Supercharger won't boost you, or too far away, although the 25 meter radius is quite long if you ask me. So definitely a very interesting ultimate. It's more of like a supportish ultimate if you ask me, so it's a bit odd to have on tank, but it can work on really nicely on certain situations. I'm pretty sure of that. So now that we got the abilities out of the way, I'm moving on towards the gameplay aspect of Orisa, how she feels to the roster, and I'm trying to give out some strategies, just as much as information as I can to you guys. So moving on. So with the abilities given, I think Orisa can fill gaps and can assist allies within different situations given. She's like a mixed bag of different bits from other tanks, which isn't that original if you ask me, but it can work out really successfully if used the abilities very smartly. Like, the shield reminds me of Reinhardt's shield, the halt reminds me of Mini Zarya ult, those supercharger beams, they're like Mercy's damage amplifier but for multiple people. I don't know, I'm okay with it, but still, like, Blizzard, did you run out of ideas? And as I mentioned about being smart when using the abilities, it's definitely a fact that if you randomly derp around and spamming cooldowns won't really get you far, and you just want to use them cleverly within different situations to come, and then Orisa can work out just fine. I played some games with her, and it really requires some smart thinking when to use a certain ability, when it's really necessary and when it's less necessary. It's a trial and error curve for this hero too, and for the game overall. So I'm now giving out some ability specific tips I can try to give you. So the hold ability can be really useful, but I think it needs some coordination from your team in order to get the max efficiency from it. And also, if you hold the enemies above the enemies rather than next to them, the crowd control will gonna last longer, because after getting sucked in, they will fall also a set amount of distance, and aerial control is much more limited than shooting projectiles in the ground, so you get a little extra time there if you shoot it above the enemies. And also, if you're playing in a map that has pits that you can basically fall off, you can also pull enemies with the halt to those nearest pits, and they'll simply fall off the map unless there's a Pharah or something that just can save herself. But yeah. And watch out for the Diva's defense matrix, she can absorb this ability, so you gotta be careful if they got Diva. So with the Fortify ability, I think it's good in situations when someone really needs to take the hit. If enemy is pushing to a side, for example, and someone needs to be on that front line, Fortify is really nice when it nullifies 50% of the incoming damage. And if they got like hard CC they wanna initiate with Reinhardt's ultimate, for example, or Zarya is setting up a good nice ultimate, you can also get that crowd control immunity and screw their plans a bit and make them a little harder. So when it comes to the protective barrier, the shield, you can set up guard points for the main road or high ground, which is really nice because it'll last very longish time, the 20 seconds. You can just set up points, you can put the shield on payloads, you can put it on high ground if there's like a Bastion, an ally, so he gets a shield and the Bastion can shoot freely. So it's really flexible. It's not like Symmetra that shoots the shield away, or Reinhardt that you have to be on the spot to shield the people. So it has that mobile aspect of it, and it's really good. Whether it's the high ground or low ground, or defending some of the points, capture points for example, it can be very versatile. So couple more notes left I got for the supercharger. I think it feels more like a support ultimate rather than regular tank styled ultimate, but if you're noticing that your team has some good combos available or a team fight is about to get started, I think the 50% damage boost can really turn the tide of the battle easily. And note that since the supercharger can be destroyed, try to think of the best position for the ultimate, so most of your allies will benefit from it, but that is not easy to spot and destroy either. You just have to find that golden spot for your supercharger, so it's not easy to track down, but most of your allies can benefit from it. It might be very difficult in some situations, you just might want to throw it to the ground, and sometimes you want to think about it if you got some extra time for that. So, to summarize things up, I don't think Orisa is necessary for every single matchup, but I think she can bring out some new interesting strategies to the table. She can also sustain damage really well and can assist those who need it the most. The damage she offers is alright too, but ultimately she feels more like a tank support hybrid rather than tank DPS hybrid, but I believe that was what Blizzard was intending for. The final verdict for Orisa is that she's definitely a viable choice that's worth trying and playing because of the versatility she has, but I don't think she will be a game-breaking tank like Ana was a game-breaking support when she got released. So that's about it for this Orisa wrap-up video. I really hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment and subscribe for more cool vids to come if you liked. My name is Hepodix and have a nice day.
Get in there. I have your